All right, Mike, shotgun opinion, real quick. What'd you think?
It was bad, but in a good way.
It was bad.
But I enjoyed it. It was bad in the best way.
Yeah, you were saying that you even though it sucked, you didn't mind it that much. And I am of the opposite opinion, where I'll probably never watch that movie again. Probably never do it.
I kind of want to watch it now again.
Yeah.
On streaming.
On streaming.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's on Paramount.
I thought you meant like on stream. Like, hey everybody, watch the Five Nights at Freddy's movie with me.
Yes, live stream, FNAF stream, Thursday, November 4th. I don't know if that's a Thursday. Probably not.
I feel like we should just hit the big points. You know what I mean? First of all, it's not a horror movie or a scary movie
This
at
movie,
all.
it didn't know what it wanted to be.
Yeah, that's what we should start this conversation off with. Is not that it's not a horror movie. I couldn't tell you what it is. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not a horror movie, but it's not a comedy. It's not a drama.
No, this movie is a perfect example of when a company gets the rights, and then the first thing they do is get a full company meeting, sit down at the table, and go, "What is Five Nights at Freddy's?
What is Five Nights?
What?
We're making jokes as we walk out of the theater. Like, all right, so they probably had one guy sit in a room, and they were like, all right, you have 10 minutes for every game. Only 10 minutes, and then you have to stop and switch to the other game because we don't have time.
Here's Matt Pat. Watch that video.
Right. Here's Matt Pat.
Watch his theories. Literally,
Don't waste your time playing the games. Watch Matt Pat's theories, and that's all you need.
Like, I looked it up for reference. The movie was announced originally in 2015.
This is a ridiculous statistic.
8 years.
8 years.
8 years.
Because it's 2023 right now.
Of the movie being in limbo.
Development. Wimbo.
Being in development
limbo.
Development limbo. It started production in February of this year.
February.
After 8 years, they said, it's coming out in 6 months. What are we going to do?
Right,
what are we
They really
gonna
pulled the
do?
freaking procrastination route on it. They're like a stupid, like, bad at time management high school / college student.
With all the stuff they randomly threw in, I was like, they were just trying to rush to the finish line. Like, they were really at the freaking 11th hour trying to come up with this stinker. It's... They did not know what to do. It's so obvious that it was rushed.
The rush really shows in just the roller coaster that was the plot of this movie. There's at one part they're chomping people and murdering, and it's like, oh, here's where it becomes a thrasher. Here's where it becomes like a real horror movie.
It was like super graphic, like Cocaine Bear level of graphic. People dying, blood shooting out, and it happened for like a minute.
And then 20 minutes later, they're building a pillow fort with like the main character. I'm not kidding. Like, this isn't a spoiler because it just happens, and it really isn't germane to the plot at all. They just build a little fort, you know.
Yeah,
as you do.
We'll say, like,
with murderous animatronics that literally just killed people like 10 minutes ago.
We won't spoil like the main story, but that probably makes up 10 minutes of screen time total because there is very little plot. They just made random scenes and said, all right, now make a narrative that fits them all together.
Right. It very, very, very loosely followed ideas from the actual FNAF series.
Yeah, and then the last 5 minutes was like, all right, tie it all together.
Right.
It felt like the whole time it was trying to do FNAF 1, but also do all of the FNAF games, and it failed at both.
Yeah.
It's
FNAF 1, all of the FNAF games, and then their own little sprinkle of, oh, we made something, like, this is transformative. We've made something into this that's new, but it's not.
Every character they introduced added nothing to the plot except the main character and his sister. You could have dropped any character and the plot would have stayed the same. You could have replaced any character with a different character, given them different background, different names, different motives, and none of the plot would have changed.
Yeah, I mean, they have a character from a later game. What was it? It was Security Breach, right?
Yeah.
They have a character from Security Breach in this movie, even though it's supposed to be for FNAF 1 technically. And they just don't hold any semblance of what they're supposed to mean in their own game, nor do they add anything to the story as they are in this movie.
Every decision they make is just the wrong one. And then there's so many times where it's like, you could have done anything the entire movie and just none of the movie would have had to happen.
Yeah.
If they did anything, nothing would have had to happen. The only reason why there is a plot is because they just said, what can you do?
Well, that lack of plot is made even worse by the fact that they just didn't have any element of a genre of movie that you would normally enjoy. They weren't a comedy because when they were trying to be funny, they weren't. And any jokes that did land or were actually funny weren't intentional. They weren't trying to be.
But let's be clear. There were a lot of jokes in the movie.
Yeah, no.
But only one or two of them landed.
Right. Not for
Like,
lack of trying.
There was plenty of more jokes than you would have expected going into like a horror movie.
Right.
But most of them weren't good.
And that just like perpetuates this idea that they just didn't know what they were doing, didn't know what they wanted it to be. With the horror side of things, it's really frustrating because you watch the movie and you can see that they're trying to do all of these kind of tropey like classic moves, like we're playing the string instruments and the suspense music is building, and I'm just watching it completely emotionless. I could not feel anything through that entire movie. There's no amount of suspense built up. There were jump scares that happened where the screen would flash the jump scare. I would sit there not moving, look over at Mike, and Mike would look back at me like, yeah, that happened. That sure,
Like they
sure
did that. I don't get it. The whole FNAF is just jump scare the game.
Yeah.
And they failed at that.
They failed to create that eerie sense of unrest and like lack of control that FNAF the game captured so well, which I feel like is a disservice to the series.
They tried to make it so that when bad things happened to characters, or like the characters were scared, you were scared, but they never made you feel anything for any of the characters. Like I really didn't care if the character was getting attacked or scared, because I'm like, this character has no personality.
They were trying way too hard to make these characters likable or make you empathize with them by like showing you their backstory or whatever.
But they failed at
involving
it
right
everywhere.
They failed at it, and then also you were annoyed by it. Like, why are you trying to introduce me to this new character? I've known this series forever. Like, show me what I want to see. Don't try to manipulate my feelings into making this easier for yourself by making me attached to a character and then I'm scared for that character. Just to make me the one that's afraid.
There's the worst police officer ever. This lady, she's a police officer. All she does is hang out at Freddy's Pizza. That's the only thing you see her do. She threatens to shoot innocent people.
Oh my god, that was one of the best jokes in the film. There's just a throwaway joke where the police officer's like, don't do this again or I'll shoot you in the face.
Yeah, she just threatens to
throws it out there.
Her like romantic interest for no reason.
No
like,
build up. No nothing. Just I'm going to shoot you in the face if you do that again. Whoa. Where did that it was almost a shock factor. Like, did she just say that? Where did that come from?
Yeah, she's like I'm a trained EMT, and then she gets like stabbed with something and just pulls the knife
so funny.
straight out.
I've never seen a professional in a movie claim to be more of a professional and then be the worst at that profession ever. She claims to have EMT training, gets stabbed, pulls the knife out, and just lies there. Which, for anyone who doesn't know, if you get stabbed with something, don't yank it out. It's stopping the bleeding.
You die.
Right.
If you
it's
yank it out,
you from bleeding.
Die.
And then she's supposed to be a cop as well. And so she's got like the bad guy at gunpoint and she's like, don't move or I'll shoot. And he's like, you won't shoot me. And then as she shoots, she's like, close my eyes, turn my head away. I'm like, what are you doing? What training did you have ever? Like, where did it go?
Yeah. And then like halfway through the movie, the main character accidentally commits a felony. And she's like, when I write this police report, you're going to jail. And then he's like, I'm sorry. And she's like, okay, you don't, we're good.
She's like, if I write this police report, you're going to go to jail. And he was like, hold on.
I don't want to go to jail.
My backstory is so sad. And then she was like, I can't write up this guy.
And then she just lets him go. She does that.
Go.
She lets so many criminals just kind of do their thing.
Why don't we like bullet point some quick like good things about the movie? A little bit of positivity in here. I thought that the cinematography was decent. They actually did a good job with the visuals.
I like the animatronics.
For the most part.
They looked pretty cool.
The animatronics they did a really good job with.
I wish they didn't pick the FNAF 1 animatronics because the FNAF 1 models looked goofy. But for what they were really well done.
Yeah, I would definitely say that. The score wasn't anything interesting. Yeah, all in all, I think that's like the only thing it has is it did a decent job with the visuals.
It included more lore than I expected. Not done well.
Well, it's easy to include lore when you're just pulling lore from random games, random times. Like that is a piece of lore, but it doesn't fit in here. It fits in 40 years down the line, like in the story or whatever.
But that's still better done than most game movies.
Yeah.
Most game movies, they watched a trailer for the newest game and said, yeah, I know what this is. They at least did some like Google search of what FNAF was.
The issue is we see things like Sonic and Mario now, and the bar is set so much higher for game movies. Like, you can't just write it off as, oh, it's pretty good for a game movie now. There's good game movies out there. So it's like, I don't know, there's not a whole lot of excuses, especially with 8 years. 8 years of development time. It's just, I don't know. That's just me. That's
I had a
thoughts.
good time just watching it. It was entertaining. Not for the reasons that they thought it would be, but it was entertaining.
It was goofy. I did this more times than I can count throughout watching the film. Just like, what is happening? Like, why did they do that? It was fairly enjoyable. Like I said, I probably won't watch it again, but as a one-time experience, it was decent. There's some fun cameos, I guess.
Best way to watch it, I will say. Don't go to the theater.
Don't go to the theater.
You're wasting your money.
Don't go to the theater.
Go to your friend's house, get all your friends over, and then don't be the guy that's like, don't talk during this movie. Because it's not good enough to pay full attention to.
Yeah.
But if you're a group of buddies, you're all making fun of it, you'll have a great time. There's a lot there. It's entertaining enough. It's the good kind of bad. It's entertaining enough to where you can make jokes about it and everyone will have a good time if you don't take it too seriously.
It's a fodder type movie. It basically is just something to put on the screen to feed into like your own creative wisecracks and jokes.
And it does really good at that.
Yeah.
There's
lots of points where it's like setting the ball up on the tee and you just crack that son of a bitch into the freaking stands. Like, it's just gone. And you can make some great jokes off of like the blunders that they have.
I had a great time, but could have lived a full happy life if it never came out.
But could have done something else for 2 hours.
They could have done so much, but for what it was, good on them.
And what it was like a cluster schmuck. That's the genre it is, really.
Yeah.
It's a cluster schmuck. It's a comedy. It's a horror movie. It's a drama. And it takes all of those, and it does bad at all of them.
It tried to be everything, and it wound up nothing.
Cluster schmuck. I think that's a term we coin.
That's a TriBit original.
TriBit original, cluster schmuck. You can take that and use it with your friends.
I'm glad that the animatronics didn't speak full lines. That would have been bad.
That would have been talk about that.
They were mostly silent. Some of them sang. Sometimes they said like one or two words,
which was weird.
Which wasn't ideal, but good enough.
Wouldn't have been my choice personally, but yeah.
But at least they weren't like the Five Nights at Freddy's is the friends we made along the way.
Yeah.
Like something like that.
All right, I'll give you that.
At least it wasn't that, because that would have been the darkest timeline.
FNAF, it wasn't as bad as it could have been.
That's the perfect slogan.
Yeah. We'll motion to end there. Let us know what you thought of the review, and if you're going to go see the movie, or if you did see the movie, what you thought of the movie. All those in favor, hit subscribe. All those opposed, click through. You can watch one of our other movie reviews. Tell us what we should do different. I'm really tired. I got 2 hours of sleep last night.
Dang.
I've been going so long today. We should just do a podcast.
We should do a podcast. I could start doing Dude Bro Science. What's that?
I don't know.
I could start being like, welcome to the Michael cast, guys.